Hi, welcome back to Maximum Potential Schooling. I'm Zane Hoare, and today I'm going to run you through a lesson on fear desensitization. Now, to desensitize yourself to something means that you become so used to it that you don't notice it anymore. So you can see why that might be pretty handy with some of the things that are on your list of things that you fear. So a great example of desensitization is if you've ever walked into a room and there's a really overpowering smell, maybe it's a pleasant smell like, you walk in, there's a fresh bunch of flowers and they're quite overpowering, or maybe it's an unpleasant smell for whatever reason. But the longer you spend in the room, the less you're able to notice that smell until you just don't notice it at all anymore. But if you're to leave that room and then come back in, it really hits you again. That's because while you're in that room, you're becoming desensitized to the smell by the fact that you're being exposed to it really, really often. And that's a similar sort of strategy to what we're going to use here. Now, fear desensitization is a strategy that's been used to help people conquer their phobias. So if you're scared of spiders, often if you have a really large fear of spiders, psychologists would use a strategy like this to help you get over that fear. And so there's a few steps in this strategy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through this strategy and what it would look like so that you can use it with some of the things that are on your fear list. So the first thing, step one, you've got to have a relaxation technique available to you so that when you are in a stressed or a hyper-aroused situation that you're able to calm yourself. And fortunately for you guys, we've been practicing that pretty much since the beginning of the program with our breathing techniques. So our breathing strategies are exactly what is used to help us control what we would call our arousal level, which in this situation is our hyper vigilance around fear. Okay, so our breathing strategies put us in a place where we can calm ourselves and deal with our fears and actually be calm when we're moving through this process. So step two is to build up your exposure to whatever it is that you fear. Now, again, if you've actually followed through with this lesson and had a look at the what's the worst that could happen, negative visualization, then again, that forms part of this build-up, because by completing that visualization, you've mentally rehearsed being in a fearful situation. So let's use the example of someone who's scared of taking a test. Now, if you look at the fear lesson in this month, you'll see that quite a number of teens and adolescents fear test taking, and that comes from that stages of life data. So if you fear taking a test and you've conducted a negative visualization around test taking, then you're already beginning this build-up process. You've already had a talk about it, but you've talked to yourself, you've visualized and you've put yourself in that situation. So this build-up shows a progressive growth in exposure to the thing that you're scared of, or the fear. So you could, if you're scared of taking tests, for some people they're so petrified that just the mention of the word test brings out cold shivers amongst them. So step one would just be talking about taking tests, and that's where you could conduct your visualization. Step two might be something like at home, you set up your room so that it mimics or it's similar to the situation you're going to be in when you have your test. So you only take into your homework room, whether that's your bedroom or the lounge room, the dining room or whatever, but you only take in with you the same things you'd be allowed to take in with the test. You don't have anything else in there. You remove all distractions. It's a silent room. Whatever it is, you try and get your environment to mirror that you would be sitting the test in, so that you become more comfortable in that environment. Then you kind of start small. So maybe you now build on, okay, I can talk about it, I've got the environment set up, now I'm going to start with potentially just a short quiz. In that environment, I'm going to sit in that environment, I'm going to take a short quiz. And then I'm going to build a bit further than that, and I'm going to do a mini test, but it's under timed conditions, just like it would be for my actual test taking. And then I'm going to build upon that, and I'm actually going to sit a practice test. So exactly the same time frame, same topic. Maybe it's last year's test and you've been proactive and you've gone and asked your teacher for help with this, and you've got a last year's test, so you sit down and you do that test at home in a similar environment with the same timed ability, sort of time around the test. Maybe you get mum, dad, brother, sister, somebody else to come in and act like the teacher, to be able to mimic that environment as best as you can. So the premise is that you start small and you build up, but trying to get to mimic or to copy that environment as much as you can, so that when it becomes time to start step 3, which is actually to face your fears, when it comes time to get into that classroom and sit that test, you've built up and you're prepared. You've desensitized yourself to that phobia or that fear of test taking. It's becoming much more normal to you. And then every time you do a test after that, you'll be much calmer and much more comfortable with that situation. You will desensitize yourself to your fear of test taking. There's a few key components that come along with this. It helps to have other people on board. So I guess step 1 is to recognize that you have this fear. And you know, if you've looked at the fear component of this lesson and you've jotted down your fears, you'll be able to see, you know, you've acknowledged that this is something that is holding you back. Then why not engage with your teacher and let them know, hey, I really struggle with test taking. I get really stressed, and when I sit a test, I don't feel that it accurately reflects my abilities. And get mum, dad, brother, sister, whoever on board to be able to help you out at home, and work with a little team to help get you over that phobia so that you're best placed. So, you know, admitting and acknowledging that you have the fear, getting people on board to help you, and then being able to go through this process, starting small and building up. And that may take some time. This could be a bit of a longer process. But what it is again, it's a really proactive process. And again, we're having this conversation around proactive behaviors that really can help set you up so that when you face your fears, you are prepared and you're best able to maximize your potential. So your task for this month is to, again, have a look at that list of fears and to devise a plan where you're able to desensitize yourself to that fear. Come up with some steps and some strategies and progress through so that when you get to your face your fears moment, you're able to handle it as well as you possibly can and you're able to perform to your maximum. Good luck, train hard.